Last time we got a Star Wars movie was pre-COVID 2019. That is crazy. Time flies. Worth the wait with shows in between? Let's talk about it. So The Mandalorian and Grogu is a new Star Wars movie in the world of Star Wars post Return of the Jedi, but before the sequel trilogy, and it is taking place after the previous seasons of The Mandalorian. This is a spin-off, it is a continuation of the spin-off show that is in the Star Wars world that has been on Disney Plus for years. You know what it is, but that's what's been fascinating about the show, and it's something I've been curious about as a somewhat fan of those early 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, but I really didn't love season 3, so admittedly I had a lot of cynical outlook on this movie because I didn't know what to expect going in. I didn't want them to continue plot seeds from season 3 because I wasn't the hugest fan of that season, but also I didn't want this show or movie to alienate fans who maybe haven't seen this TV show and are now going into a Star Wars movie totally blind on what's going on. To me, Star Wars has always been a visual language, a cinematic language as well. It's always been meant for the big screen, so it feels weird when it's kind of lacking in that or relying on TV show information to carry it along. And I just didn't want it to do that for audiences. And I gotta admit, weirdly enough, I think I've actually would have enjoyed this movie even more, or at least a lot more, if I hadn't seen The Mandalorian show, because this movie, for the most part, has a lot of fun. Like, there's a lot of positives first, which I will get to, which is the fact that I do think this movie has a lot of fun with itself and living in the Star Wars world. This feels like it's in a fleshed out, breathing, tangible universe produced and created and developed originally by George Lucas, but then carried over by Dave Filoni, and you really feel his flavor here, his ability to slow build and really live in this universe, and all the devils in the details that I really appreciate about this movie. That's my favorite thing about this movie, really, is the devils in the details of just going on the adventure, and as we're doing that, we're seeing through the eyes of the Mandalorian just the environment, how people operate, small little things like little occupations people do in the Star Wars world. There's one moment where the Mandalorian and Grogu walk up to a sandwich shop / restaurant bar looking area, and they're ordering from this character to get some information, and as they're ordering and talking, you watch him make the sandwich, and I was transfixed by him crafting the sandwich. It looked really good, and that was something to me that I appreciate because it's in the background. The shot doesn't call the most attention to it, but when it's happening while the character's talking, you're just noticing like that looks really good, and that looks like an actual sandwich in a world of Star Wars that I would totally eat. And of all the things to focus on, I mean that because it shows how much detail they really put into the craftsmanship of exploring those little moments, and I appreciated that a lot. And it never lost consistency in that, even though sometimes I felt like sometimes it wasted a lot of time in smaller adventures, like the little creatures of a planet or something like that. Like I like seeing, well, holy shit, did they steal away from the main screen time of the antagonistic threat of this movie. So there's give and take, and I do like those moments though where we're just really living and breathing in this Star Wars world. It's a comfort food for me, and being in the theater, hearing those sounds, that felt nice. It felt relaxing in a way. I felt transfixed. I'll give it that. In terms of visuals, aesthetic, this movie does focus on the visual storytelling a lot, and I do appreciate that aspect of it. There's a lot of moments where it's left to silence. You're left to see how characters think and operate and do, and just I prefer that type of storytelling in Star Wars because it does a good job at really developing our characters without having to say a lot, and you just get to the point and it's concise, but it's still emotional. With that being said, there's still moments where I just feel like the dialogue is just that obvious. Like, it's too obvious and on the nose, and sometimes less is more. Visually, aesthetically, I dug the movie. It looked great, sounded great. But emotionally, character-wise, intrigue, did it have it? And that's the thing with this movie, right? I really did enjoy parts of the first half of it. And that's where I get into this, my negatives, is that this movie sometimes just doesn't really have a focus on what it wants to be story-wise. We get a great setup with Rhoda the Hutt, who is the son of Jabba the Hutt, and the Mandalorian is commissioned to go save him because he has been essentially kidnapped, or at least rumor has it he's been kidnapped. And now, though, when we get to the planet, we start finding out new things about Rhoda and his character, and that's really intriguing. I actually liked Rhoda the Hutt a lot. I thought that was great world building, but it also worked for this story and creating a character for this movie, and I wish we focused more on that, because as we meet Rhoda, as we get to know him, the movie then suddenly starts to feel like, oh, they really did just shoot 3 episodes together and stitched it as a movie, right? That's really bummed me out, because I was really enjoying parts of the setup of this, and then it just becomes another generic Mandalorian set of 3 episodes. And on one end, that can work, that can be fun. I would just rather watch that at home. If you're gonna make a movie, pace it like a movie. Get me intrigued, have one storyline going on that we can really hook our teeth into. As it stands, I just find kind of losing focus on what we're doing here, because at a point, we're just kind of screwing around with Grogu and he's doing his own thing. And I do get, like, there's a purpose for it in terms of him kind of returning a favor, metaphorically in a way, to the Mandalorian. And I like that aspect of it. It just felt a little too late, a little too late. And the way they explored it felt more like, all right, let's be cute for a bit, but let's not explore the emotional themes between these two. And I would be a little less frustrated if the movie wasn't trying to hammer that point home. Just sometimes it does, and it doesn't always hit for me. This movie moves on a really formulaic structure. It feels like episodes and stuff I've seen in The Mandalorian before. Like I said, if I hadn't seen the show, I actually feel like I would have had an even better experience, because I thought the movie did a good job at informing you on who the Mandalorian is as a character, what is important to him, how he operates, what he's doing now, and the fact that it takes place in almost a status quo reset of the character's timeline, just in terms of the show, you can kind of hop in and not be as lost. But if you've seen the show, it kind of runs into that part of repetition. You're like, I've seen this before. I've had more emotional goodbyes in certain moments before. There are plot beats that just kind of feel like a retread of the show we've seen, but now in a movie theater ticket price. And I don't know, a part of me can't really condone that. If you're going to make a movie, make a movie. This feels like sloppily 3 episodes thrown together, because at a point, Rhoda the Hutt gets sidelined for another character entirely who's a side villain who comes in to be kind of a physical threatening presence, and he pops in and he looks almost like Cad Bane from the back, and it's really badass, and then again, the movie just kind of forgets about him because there's too many other things going on, too many random subplots for the Grogu to get involved in, too many random things for the Mandalorian to fight that are environmental threats. At a point in the first act for world building, I enjoyed them being there, but sometimes it felt like a distraction more so than anything. Maybe we can focus on tension built up between the Hutts more. Actually have that antagonistic presence and the Mandalorian presence be built up to really make a cool dynamic at the end. That third act could have been really intriguing. And emotional. It does go for some emotional beats. I just don't feel like they always hit. Because admittedly, while there was fun to be had in this movie, I never felt tension in this. And I do think tension in a Star Wars movie is important to have. Not only that, I want to think in my Star Wars movie. I want to feel a bit challenged in my Star Wars movie. None of this is really challenging. It's all formulaic stuff that's been here, done that. Nothing was really emotionally hitting me or gripping me enough. And that's really what I come to Star Wars for, is those characters, because they can be so damn intriguing. Star Wars characters used to all be so three-dimensional. Most of the side characters in this movie are here to present expositional dialogue, transition characters to other positions, and just kind of monotonely explain things. Like, everyone kind of just feels like they're at the same level of energy at points in this movie. Aside from some cool side characters that we meet along the way that kind of give us that energy jump we need, but other than that, other than Mando and Grogu himself, a lot of the other characters are just kind of exposition dumping machines and nothing more. Star Wars used to be about the chemistry, the relationships, and it still can be at times. It just kind of depends on what you're watching and what you're in for. But the last half of this movie, it is slow. I was checking the time, man. I lost interest because at a point it just couldn't focus on what it wanted to be emotionally. And I know I sound like I'm asking for too much, but I do ask for a lot in my Star Wars movies because they used to give a lot, genuinely. And when it comes to cinematic language of Star Wars, this should feel more eventful than it does, admittedly, for me, in my opinion. I feel like more of a swashbuckling energy and a much tighter pace could have really brought this movie up for me. But as it stands at 2 hours and 15 minutes, it's not really what I look for in Star Wars all the time. And that's totally okay, too. I think there are people who are going to love this movie because this is exactly what they want, just to kick their feet back and just watch something happen in the world. I crave a little more than that, and I just felt like this movie could have given that, especially since it kind of delivers some promise on that at points. It just doesn't fully hammer it home. Other than some stylistic moments, it was okay. What did you guys think of The Mandalorian and Grogu? Did you enjoy it? I hope you love it. Thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. Leave a like, leave a comment. Come talk about movies with us. Come talk about stories with us. I'm tired. I'm going home. I'm going to bed. See you next time.